Hello all, welcome to today's meeting of Fresno City Toastmasters. For those of you watching in Zoom land or YouTube land, excuse me, my name is Chanel and I'm the current club president for Fresno City Toastmasters. I'm going to start us off by reading our mission statement, which, goodness, I should have memorized by now. We all should probably have memorized by now since we hear it every week. This is the mission of our club, Fresno City Toastmasters, and it's also the mission of Toastmasters International, that we provide a supportive and positive learning experience to empower our members to develop communication and leadership skills, which results in greater self-confidence and personal growth. So I hope that for all of you who are our members and do join us regularly, that you are feeling like your self-confidence is growing and that you are growing in your personal and professional goals as well. On the side of announcements, I'm thinking that I thought that we had an announcement, but now I can't remember what it is.
How was the Friday? How was the Friday meeting?
Friday was good. It was just Heather and Denny and myself, but
okay.
It was really nice. I think that we had a good time, good conversation.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely. I'm glad that we got to do it.
Good food.
We need to do it again. And yes, it was great food.
We'll do it again. Once baseball season's done, beginning mid-June, something like that, I'm free. I'm good.
Yeah, I would like to do it again personally. And for those of you who maybe didn't see my email, we were having a get together last Friday night just for any of our Toastmasters members who wanted to come as an opportunity to connect in person, since most of us are only interacting over Zoom. It's a nice way to just get to know people better in a casual environment. So hopefully I would like to do that again soon if there's any interest. And I guess that's it. Oh, the other thing, if those of you had not seen the email about it, Pathways is down right now. It's going to be offline until May 10th. If you're trying to log in and complete your path, unfortunately, you'll have to be waiting until May 10th to access that information, which at this point it's another week. We have to wait for another week. So that will probably go by pretty quickly. We are not having any speeches today. I was supposed to give a speech and I was not prepared, so I had to push it back to next week. And Emerson's also going to be pushing his speech back. So we'll be doing an extended time of table topics. So because of that, I think we have plenty of people to fill in all of our roles today. It looks like all counter and timer position are still open. So Mike, you are on the agenda as a speech evaluator. There's no speeches to evaluate now, so I'll give you first pick if you would like to move into all counter or timer position for today.
I'll give a shot at the timer position.
Okay, do you have something?
I'll go get some construction paper. Just remind me, I know green and red. Is there a yellow or is that me imagining?
Yo, you're good. Green, yellow, and red.
All right. Well, I'm going to go steal some stuff from my kid's room.
Yeah. And grab a timer to a chrono watch or something, Mike. Remember, we're just doing the table topic, so it'll be 1 minute green, 1.5 yellow, and then 2 red.
2 red. Okay. Yep. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mike. And then would one of our other members without a role like to grab all counter?
Yeah, I can do that.
Sarah, thank you. Okay, we're all good then on the agenda. I will now pass the podium over to our Toastmaster today, Ms. Monica, who is going to introduce our theme for today and kick our meeting off. Please welcome her.
Thank you, Madam President. Our theme for today is My Culture, My Heritage. I am a Mexican American. However, I do identify as being a Chicana. I will provide you guys with some information of where the word Chicana came from. If you take the word Mexicana or Mexicano, and you take away the ME, you are left with just the word Xicano, which if you read it out, spells Chicano or Chicana for a female. I remember having a conversation with my beloved aunt about how I identified as being a Chicana, and she was very upset with me. When she was growing up, it was a way to make fun of Mexicans not being a full Mexican, and so they considered it only half a Mexican. It was then that I actually thought about that term and how she thought it was derogatory, but instead I tend to put it, I then put it towards my own heritage. I felt that if I do not fit in as a true Mexican, because I've only been to Mexico, I think maybe 1 or 2 times, nor do I speak Spanish, yet I am here in America and there's no Chicano box to check when they ask what race I am. And my skin is brown, so it's hard to identify as an actual American, even though I am an American. So with that total, my heritage is great because I identify as a Chicana, and I can always go back to our traditions that we have growing up with lots of tamales for Christmas and quinceañeras when you turn the age of 15. And also I do enjoy celebrating the American cultures that we have here as well. So with that, I'm a proud Chicana, and I just want to embrace everybody in their different heritages and in their different cultures as well. So before I pass it over to our general evaluator, just a quick reminder for those of you who are on Zoom that we are going to be replacing our virtual claps with the jazz hands movement. So with that said, I'm going to go ahead and pass the baton over to the general evaluator, Joey Myers, for further introductions.
Thank you, Monica, for sharing that about yourself. I'm sure we'll learn a lot more in the table topics about each other too. I'm assuming that's what our table topics is going to be somewhat around. So as a general evaluator, I'm going to introduce our team. We don't have too many newbies here, so we'll just go right into it. So I want to first start with Chanel West, who's our grammarian of the day, to introduce our word of the day.
Thank you, Joey. I put the word of the day in the chat along with its definition and an example sentence. So give me a thumbs up that you all can see that it came through properly. Okay. I chose a somewhat difficult word for today. At least when I looked it up on dictionary.com, it gave it a rating of post-college level difficulty. So apparently it's a hard word. Anthropomorphize, meaning to ascribe human form or attributes to something that is not human, an animal, a plant, a deity, perhaps. This is a fun word and something I think that is often, most of us probably typically have learned or use in the context of like a high school English class when we're learning literary vocabulary or something to that effect. I think that oftentimes perhaps when most of us tend to do this in regular life is pertaining to our pets, right? We anthropomorphize our pets a lot and give them human characteristics. So this will be our word for today. I will also be counting any form of this that you are able to use. So anthropomorphic, the adjective form will be acceptable as well. And anthropomorphize, anthropomorphizing, as it says on this sheet, will all be acceptable. So try to use that word, sneak it into your table topics, into your reports, and I will be keeping track. Thank you.
Thank you, Chanel. And on that note, I tend to anthropomorphize my dog until every single week at the same time, every day, the neighbor takes their trash cans out or brings them in. She goes over with her peanut brain and barks and barks and barks. Or a landscaper comes same day, same time, never, the landscaper or the neighbor never jump over the fence to attack her, but every single time, bark, bark, bark. So then I have to come back and anthropomorphize my dog. So there you go. Next on our list, I don't know if Michael's ready for the timer report. So let's go to Sarah for our counter report.
Thank you, Joey. I'll counter. That's always the really fun one. We get to try and see how many crutch words each person is using. And the goal is not to criticize or condemn, but just to point out so that people start to recognize that they're using this, so that they can take a breath, take a break in between what they're speaking, and be able to say things in an appropriate way and in a good way. So I'll just reporting back at the end how many times each person has used them. And back to you, Joey. Thank you.
Thank you, Sarah. All right, Mr. Michael Ellis, you're on the floor, buddy.
Hello, everyone. My name is Michael Ellis, and today I will be the official timekeeper. Since we are only doing table topics, which I'm pretty excited about, we're going to be green at 1 minute, yellow means 1.5 minutes, and red means 2 minutes. Looking forward to today's meeting, and thank you very much.
Thank you, Mike. And since we don't have any speeches, we don't have any evaluators. So with that, I will move the podium back over to our Toastmaster of the day, Monica. She can introduce our table topics master.
Thank you, Joey. Our table topics master of the day is Heather Davis.
Thank you, Monica. So I'm going to add it into the chat right now. There are 5 different questions that you all can choose to whichever one you want to answer. It's all about cultural and heritage and traditions, and we all come from different backgrounds. So I'm very excited to see and hear what you all have to say. But like I said, there's 5 questions. So the first question is, how do you define family? The second one is, do you have any eating habits, rituals that are specific to your culture? Number 3, define and describe the most important or most celebrated holiday of your culture. Number 4, what would you say is, from your perspective, the most commonly held misconception about people of your culture? And number 5, what culture do you admire most and why? And I like to just go ahead and start it off with number 1, which is, how do you define family? For me, growing up, I was very focused on the idea of my family, my blood, we need to be close. And not that we aren't close, but I've realized that we can be close in their different ways. And that family isn't defined by blood, but it's what you make it. And really, my family, I feel like that I'm closest with is my chosen family, which are my husband and I are best friends. Josh and Kimmy and Trey. We have our own little core group of people that I know I can always count on. They're just the people that will be there day in and day out. And they're not blood, but I know for a fact that if I called on them, that they would be there. And for me, it's important not to have any type of expectation of, quid pro quo, of you do this, I do that, but it's just that mutual benefit of just knowing that someone has your back and someone's going to be there and defend you and support you, especially when you're not in the room. I've learned that is truly important about, family and friends, and that it speaks volumes of who they are as people. Also, I think my family, I tend to anthropomorphize my 2 cats, who I believe are just one is my old grumpy man, Sci-Fi, and then my little fuzz teenager who's not even a year old. And so it's very comedic to see the duo try and circle around each other, and they have their moments where they go crazy and I'm like, what is going on? And then there's moments where they're super cuddly and it's like, we're at peace. This is my family, my husband and my 2 cats, and I'm happy. So that's how I define family, and I'm really excited to see what you all have to say. So whoever would like to start off first, go ahead. Otherwise, I'll start picking some people. So you let me know. Let's see, Sarah.
Emerson.
Oh, Emerson. I'm sorry, I didn't see you. Okay, Emerson, please.
Oh, I was going to hold up.
Oh, okay. Table topics, master, fellow Toastmasters. In terms of family, I agree with Heather. It's the people that we choose to have in our family, in our circles, as opposed to the ones that you are born into. Though the blood ties are always there and we do have close relations with our kin, I think that those people that you select are also very special. And you have friends that will stay with you for a short period of time, and then you have those lifetime friends. And so those lifetime friends are even more valuable in terms of the value of the relation and what they mean to your own growth. I'm 48 years old, and I have a buddy of mine that I've known since I was 7 years old. How many people in the world know me as well as he does? You see? And so to me, as I grow older, I cherish that relationship, and I have a few others. As a side note, in terms of this word anthropomorphize, I was just having a thought about when I go in the morning and I feed my cat and I feed my cilantro plant, I always think about them talking back to me or like being jealous of each other. Like I'll say, oh, don't worry, Lily, I'm just feeding her before you because I fed you first last time. And so I can just imagine these conversations that I have with a plant and my cat, but that's a good connection with that word there. But back on topic, in terms of culture, I am from Guatemala, and there's a history in the evolution of how I've come to identify myself. When you first come as a first generation, you think that you have to keep it real to your roots. And so you stay away from the American culture because you think, I will be selling out if I go that route. But as an older man, I realized that we are all immigrants in this country, and we all can cherish our roots. But we have one common thing in common, that's this great country. And so we contribute to this thing. And so all of us are immigrants, but at the same time, we're all Americans, and that is something to be cherished because we are truly blessed. Madam Table Topics Master.
Thank you, Emerson. I love that. Anybody care to offer themselves first before I pick you? Because we do have time.
I'll offer myself first for sacrifice.
Okay, thank you, Joey.
I'm going to take a shot at a couple of them. Number 2, do you have any eating habits, rituals that are specific to your culture? So I am a mutt. I am about 4 of the main ones I have, or 4 of the main cultures that I'm a part of. So on my dad's side, it's Irish and German. And then my mom's side, it's Portuguese and Italian. And I love Portuguese sausage. I love Italian food, most of it. German beer rocks and Irish beer. I actually got into on St. Patrick's Day, corned beef and hash. Actually got into that. So I love all those foods. But if you ask me the question, what food could you take with you that you'd eat 24 hours a day on a desert island? You know which one of those I'd pick? None of them. Mexican food. That's my favorite. So go figure. And then the 4th one, what would you say from your perspective, the most commonly held misconception about? No. 5th one, what culture do you admire most and why? I would say of those 4, I love the Latin cultures. I love all of them. And they all have pretty similar cultures, just a little different flavor. But I love the Italian culture. My wife and I, before we were husband and wife, we went and studied in Italy for a semester. It was the semester right after we were done with college. And the thing that struck me the most was how the Italians don't care about getting their day done at 4 or 5 p.m. They would rather work later, work till 7, 8 o'clock at night, as long as they had their 2-hour siesta or siesta. So they get 2 hours, they go home, they eat for an hour, and then they nap for an hour, and they get back to work. And they don't care if they work till 7 or 8 at night. And then they eat when they get home until 8, 9 o'clock at night. So that was one of the cool things, was to just be able to break out of the American culture, which is very much rigid, and you got to get all your 8 hours in a certain amount of time. Whereas they're like, whatever, nap, food, lunchtime, we'll take our time before we end this day. So that's what my thoughts are on those cultural questions.
Thank you, Joey. Okay. Anybody want to take a shot at one of those 5 questions, or a mix of both? Let's see, Sarah.
Everybody
Let's see, Sarah, you're extra smiley. I'm going to pick on you.
Okay. Okay. I'll just answer random questions about culture. I feel like Joey, where I have a little bit of a mix of everything. I'm a quarter Armenian, a quarter Italian, quarter German, and the other quarter is a mix of English, Irish, Dutch, Scotch, and Cherokee. And when my ancestry was traced back, my aunt found out that we could be daughters of the American Revolution. So I feel like I have a little piece of all over, and it sometimes gets a little confusing, I would say, because when you have a bunch of people all mixed in, like, okay, well, which one is right? And so you don't know like which culture to kind of go alongside of or with, and you just kind of go with the American culture, I guess. But I think some of the some of the traditions and things that were really fun is, especially the Italians and Armenians seem to be very, very much into family and family above all else, that kind of thing. And you hold really close in both of those, and you would do anything for anybody. I love the tradition of hard work that both of those sides produce. Like if you go, like they work really hard, like even Joey, you were saying they like their siestas. I very much appreciate that piece of the Italian culture, is that I get to rest in between, because I really knock out like around 2 or 3 o'clock every day. I kind of start to mosey off and wander off, and then I get spirited again. I'm like, oh, that'd just be great if I could really work that into my life. So it's nice having a little piece of everything. I'm not too much into all the foods and stuff, especially the Armenians when they're grape leaves and all that. I help make them, but oh man, I don't want to eat them. So we'll stay away from the foods. But yes, siesta's great. Thank you very much, Heather.
Thank you, Sarah, for sharing. Appreciate it. So there are 4 of you. I've got Chanel, Ray, Mike. Ooh, let's go with Michael.
I'm just reading the questions real quick again. I apologize. I'm going to go with the last question, and it's, what culture do you admire the most and why? So growing up, I was not, I wasn't too sure of 100% sure of my father's culture, but I knew what my mother's mother, her heritage was, and I knew of her father as well. So her father was Polish, and around the Polish, and her mother was Lebanese. And so growing up, as many of you met you probably never guessed that I grew up in mostly of a culture that I knew of, which was the Arabic culture. And most of my young adult life, we talked about it the most. We with my grandmother, she taught us, me and my cousins, she taught us, of course, the bad words and how to count and how to ask for candy and what's her name, and so and as an adult, when I learned of mostly of my German culture and Swedish culture, I learned my dad's his grandfather's father was Swedish, and I thought we were always Russian because we were always so big, so we just had to be Russian, but that was not the case at all. It was very incorrect. And so as an adult, learning the German culture, which is, I only knew really the bad things about the culture, hence World War II, and knew that the culture as a whole was really into art and literature, and very, they had a very right side brain, so to speak. And so as an adult, I'm getting to trying new German food, which is, some of it's pretty good, some of it's pretty interesting. I'm actually not even talking about the question I picked, but I appreciate you guys listening to me anyways. Yeah, that's about it.
You still answered the question in a way, and really it's hard to pick one, right? There's so many amazing and beautiful cultures out there, and so many that people still don't know. So happy discovering, and hopefully you can learn more about different cultures out there. So we have 3 more. I really want to hear from Monica. I love what you were talking about earlier, and no way I'm saying you need to keep talking about that, but I just love to hear more about what you have to say.
Well, thank you very much. I'm going to go with the question number 2. Question number 3. However, I have to go with defining culture because it's not only the race that you are or your heritage, but it's also a particular group of people. So this instance that I'm going to speak about is military culture that I have. I am 3rd generation military. My grandpa went to World War II, my dad went to Vietnam, and then myself, Operation Iraqi Freedom. So with that, I also have my husband who's in the military. So we have this big culture of military people in our family. So our biggest important celebration is obviously Veterans Day, 11/11. It means a lot to us. We try to get all the wonderful food that is offered to us. We get free food from Applebee's, free food from Kettlesman's, but I also like to incorporate doing them not only with my father and my husband, but with my uncles and my cousins who are also in the military, and then also with my military family that I have. And that's also going to go back to number 1 with how do we define our families. I believe that my family is the people that I was willing to be able to give my own life for, and them too as well. I take that as an honor. So sometimes family does not mean blood. Family is people that you're willing to do anything for, that connection that you have with each other. And it's strange to say that there could be years that I have been without seeing certain people that I've served with, but when I see them, I feel like I never was away from them for a day. Our feelings come back to being neutral. So with that, I like to tell everybody that not just to define culture with your race, your color, anything like that, but the people who are around you socially and the people who make you who you are. Thank you.
Thank you, Monica. Wonderful reminder exactly of how there's so many different cultures out there than just our race and our heritage. So I have to really think about what other cultures, I am actively practicing. So thank you for bringing that up today. Chanel, are you wanting to go next?
We have our guest here who would like to go.
Oh, yes, please.
We'll come up here to the podium. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Hi, my name is Beth Clements, and I'm new to the group, and I'm scared to get up in front of people. I wanted to get up today because this is going to be, I'm theming my year as the year of growth. So I forced myself up here. The culture that I admire most is Italian. I grew up thinking that I was half Italian. And then I took ancestry.com and found out that I think they got me mixed up with somebody else because I'm supposed to be 14% Polynesian or something like that. Island, and I don't see it. So I'm really thinking they got me mixed up with somebody else. Anyway, I don't accept it. I'm claiming Italian. So that's my story, and I'm sticking to it, and I don't know what that word means, and if I knew, I would use it. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Beth. And Chanel, while you're up there, would you like to go next? Because we have you and Ray.
I will go, Heather. Thank you. I am going to choose to answer question number 5. What is a culture that you admire most? I don't believe that there's actually any culture that I admire more than any other necessarily, because I think that all cultures, our American culture included, has things that are strengths and things that are weaknesses, not so great. But I would like to speak to a culture that I got to learn a little bit about a few years ago, which is the Indian culture, when I was able to travel and stay in India for a couple months. I know that Sarah, our other Toastmaster member, has also been there, so some of this may be familiar to her. There are some things about the Indian culture that are not so great, like caste system, not so great, not a big fan of that. But there are other things about their culture that I learned to respect and felt like I could really learn from. I wrote down a few of them here, so I'm just going to go down the list. Firstly, is that they are really good at practicing hospitality. Respect for guests is huge. And one of the things when I was over there, truthfully, it became a bit embarrassing sometimes, and I felt almost bad because anywhere that we would go, we were automatically acknowledged, given. They have flower necklaces similar to the Hawaiian culture that they will give to all guests. And anywhere we would go, they would just pile these floral necklaces on us, introduce us to everybody. And the attention was a bit much, but in their culture, it was just a way of showing respect and honor to their guests. A second thing that I really like about their culture is the way that they care for older generations. It's very normal in Indian culture for multiple generations to live together. Kids will live with their parents and care for them into older age, as opposed to more of the norm in the United States often is just ushering the older generations off to a nursing home or setting them aside, which I'm personally not a huge fan of. And then a third thing that I really love about Indian culture is specifically the way that the women dress and their love and appreciation for colors and beauty. It was so fun being there because all of the clothing are bright colors, super beautiful. For women, it's expected that you're going to wear jewelry, you're going to have henna on your arms, which is the non-permanent Indian type tattoos, and that you are going to be doing your hair, dressed up, and looking your best for most occasions. And I found that really fun. They will often look at Americans sometimes who may go over there and the women are wearing their sweatpants and tennis shoes and they think, what the heck? So those are three things that I have come to admire about the Indian culture. Another thing that I will add real quickly so I can get the word in here is that they definitely do not anthropomorphize their animals to the extent that we do it. Dogs and cats are definitely wild creatures, not creatures who come into the home. So that's my table topic. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Chanel. I love that. And last but not least, we have Ray.
Yes. All right. Thank you very much. I think I'm going to tackle question 1 and 2, probably 2 because I'm hungry. So typically, I identify in our culture food as something that a lot of people enjoy. I'm Hispanic or Mexican American, and the things for me is I grew up in a household that wasn't, I wouldn't say poor, but I wouldn't say, middle class either. So we're in between. So food was, it's sometimes hard to come by, when based off of my parents and things like that. But the thing that always helped me is that when we had, meals, it was always some kind of comfort food, tortillas, beans and rice and chicken. It always filled me. And so one of the biggest things that I always enjoy about my cultures, and a lot of people do as well, are tacos. Taco Tuesday is always a thing everybody identifies. And I got an opportunity to travel to DC for last week for a conference. And DC is just a whole bunch of cultures I noticed while I was out there that, that I tried different types of food there, but the one thing that I wanted to end in with was eating a taco, seeing how they interpret tacos in there. And I heard rumors from people. It's like, oh, you won't find real good food in Mexican food in DC. And unfortunately, that was a little bit true because I had a taco there, and it was good. It wasn't horrible, but I do appreciate how in California there is a really good community and culture of Hispanic food here. So, and then question number 1, how do we define family? a lot of us said that family is not blood, and that is 100% true for me as well. Family is someone that is there to support you or be supported as well. And I grew up with that all the time. I have cousins that are not even direct cousins to me in no way, but hey, that's your cousin, or that's your aunt and uncle, and that's how I show my children too. We have a household right now, a mix of families, and we always say that's your aunt and that's your uncle, even if they're not direct related to you. So thank you.
Thank you, Ray. Fun fact that I learned on Criminal Minds last night is that Washington, D.C. has the most highest concentrated of international students, which is also probably why that you get so many different people of walks of life, which is just amazing. So
Yes.
thank you for sharing, Ray. And I absolutely agree with you. There's nothing better than the Mexican food here in California or in Mexico itself, right? Okay, so I'm going to pass it back to our general evaluator, which I do believe is Monica.
Me.
Oh, I'm sorry, Joey.
Thank you, Heather. Yeah, it's funny on that taco thing over in Washington, D.C. and trying that out, Ray. I did that in Italy. I made that mistake in Italy. We were in Tuscany, which is beautiful, and you probably wouldn't even think about eating a taco in Tuscany, but I did. And it was a little hole in the wall place, and tried it was a burrito, I guess, but it was terrible. It was, like you said, Ray, we are lucky here in California to have some really good Hispanic food, Mexican food. It's really good here. Again, I'm married, my wife is Mexican. I'd go to a desert island, not only with her, but with Mexican food 24 hours a day. Right. All right, let's start with our reports, and we will start with, let's see, should we do the all counter report? And I think that was that Sarah?
Yes, that's me.
Go for it.
All right. So Monica, you're first on my list. You went to 7 ums and 4 so's. Joey, you had 2 so's. Chanel, you split it, 1 so, 1 long and 1 Mike, a whole bunch of ums and some uhs, but you lean more heavily on the ums than the uhs. So
he did good this time. I saw him pause.
Yeah, it was way better. Good job. And Heather, you also doing really, really good. 1 1 and 3 so's. Emerson, you just had 3 uhs, and they were right at the beginning of yours. When you first started your topic, that's when it is. But then once you got flowing, no problem. It was great. Good job on that. Beth, 2 ums and 1 so. Great start. Way to go, Beth. And Ray, you were kind of split evenly between ums, uhs, and you knows. Watch the you knows. That's one of my favorites too. You knows and the likes, all right in between. So great job, everybody. Today, definitely see the improvement, and keep working at it. Good job, everyone.
Sarah. And then Mike, how do we do with the timers report?
Thank you, Joey. I enjoyed everyone's table topics today. Let's start off with Emerson. Emerson, you had a 1 minute and 59 seconds. Joey, you're at 2 minutes and 3 seconds. Sarah, you were at 1 minute and 27 seconds. Myself was at 2 minutes and 14 seconds. Monica, you're at 1 minute, 48 seconds. Beth, you did a wonderful job at 41 seconds. And I can see the Polynesian in you, Beth, by the way. Chanel, you're 2 minutes and 28 seconds. And Ray, you're at 2 minutes and 39 seconds.
All right, thank you, Mike. And the last but not least, our word of the day, who is Miss Chanel West. How do we do with using that one?
Well, firstly, thank you all for bearing with this exceptionally difficult word. I know Emerson said it, Joey said it. I snuck it in at the end of my table topic. Beth referenced it, so I don't know. Maybe half a point for that.
Heather?
She did
Heather?
come in, so she didn't hear the announcement. Did Heather say it as well?
Heather said it.
Okay. Am I missing anybody else?
I think that was it.
Yes. All right. Well, good job. 4.5 is not bad.
And that's okay because Beth didn't, I don't think she got there when you announced it. So that would have been a tough one for her to mix in.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you, Chanel, for that report. And as the general evaluator of the meeting, I will give a general evaluation report. I think we did pretty well. Started somewhat on time. I think maybe a couple minutes late, but we didn't have any speakers today or evaluators. So we were able to do a little bit more time in table topics, which is pretty fun. And table topics for Beth is a time where we can work on either like today, where Heather gave us all the questions beforehand, and you can have a little bit of time to formulate your thoughts and provide an answer to any of those questions or a mix of those questions. Sometimes we'll do what I like to do, and some others like to do, is do where you don't know the question beforehand. So you either volunteer or we volunteer you to take your turn, and we'll ask you the question that you didn't know beforehand, and you have to think off the top of your head and formulate that together. So that table topics, I think it originally with Toastmasters, when Toastmasters first started, was like a pro and con or a issue of the day, whether you're talking like today, we got a big thing on the pro-life abortion thing. So it'd be things like that in the daily media news that you would say a pro or a con. We've done that before too. But it's a great time if somebody puts a mic in front of your face and asks you a question, a news person, and you have to be able to rattle something off that's halfway decent, that you don't sound like a googly gook type answer, that you look somewhat brilliant when you talk. So that's part of Toastmasters that we do, aside from the speeches, obviously, are a big portion of it, and also the evaluation side. So just wanted to give you a little background on that, Beth, because I know you weren't there for the explanation of that. But I think we're going to end on time because I'm going to end. I tend to talk a little bit too much, so I will hand the baton back over to our president, Chanel West.
Thank you, Joey. I'll give our rewards out real quickly. Acknowledgement to Sarah and Mike for stepping into the evaluation roles at the last minute. And thank you to everybody else who showed up and performed your role that was on the agenda today. I think it helped the meeting to go a lot smoother that we had our Toastmaster, our general evaluator, and our table topics master who were able to show up and perform the role that was written down. I think that it helps the meeting to go smoother, to not have to switch those main roles around at the last minute, though. It's okay when that does happen.
Mike got lost in the grass.
Uh-oh. Yeah, Emerson said that Mike got lost in the grass. Lost in the weeds.
Lost in the weeds.
It's like Honey, I Shrunk the Kids.
All right. I wanted to make a quick reminder about the mentorship program that Toastmasters does offer. So for any of those of you who are joining or are newer members, if you wanted to have a mentor that's somebody on our board or who has been in our club for a bit longer, just to meet with you and talk about speeches, or if you need any assistance with pathways, or really any help in reaching those personal and professional communication goals, that we do have that available. So just let us know in any meetings. I know Joey's a great mentor. I think, Joey, are you already mentoring somebody right now?
Yeah, Heather, I think.
Heather.
Sorry,
Heather.
I'm terrible mentee, but yes.
No, you can never be a terrible mentee.
Yeah, so that extra layer of support or just accountability to dig in is available. I'm available to be I have not been in Toastmasters nearly as long as Joey, but I'm available to be at least a source of accountability and somebody to bounce ideas off of. So
Sarah, I think Sarah would be good. You get Denny, been here for a little bit.
Yeah, Denny would be a good mentor. I don't know how much time she has right now.
Well, it's as much time or as little time as you need, right? I mean, it could be a email here and there, it could be a phone call, it could be a meeting. It's however much or least amount that you need to just help you along in the program. It helps to have a flashlight in the dark every once in a while. When you join, there's a lot that can go on at Toastmasters, there's a lot to bite off. And sometimes it helps to just have somebody you can bounce something off of.
Yeah.
I need a mentor to be available 24/7. If I got to call at 2 a.m. in the morning, what do I do on the speech?
An Uber mentor.
I'm just kidding.
Yeah, so if you have any interest in that, just let us know. I wanted to ask for the month of May, does anybody have any birthdays in May? Any birthdays? No, nobody's had any birthdays like the past 3 months. Apparently spring is not very popular.
Mine's August. I'm a Leo. Yeah, oh, that's right. Sarah is too.
Yeah,
I'm a September.
September.
Libra. Yeah.
Libra.
Mine was February.
Oh, did we miss Monica?
February.
Yeah.
yours is February too?
I don't think you guys asked about birthdays in February. You skipped it.
We just
Sorry.
skipped
I was slacking and then I remembered again.
it.
2 gifts next year.
Yeah.
What's that sign? What's that sign, Monica? What's February?
Pisces.
I'm Aquarius.
Oh,
It's Aquarius
Pisces and
Pisces.
Aquarius.
Yeah. Mhm.
I'm Pisces. Latter part.
All right. And then we'll look at our agenda for next week. I'm moving myself to speak next week since I wasn't able to today. Heather, I also have you down for next week, May 10th. Does that still work? Awesome. And then Monica, I have you down for the 17th.
You know, you said Pathways is not going to be up till the 10th.
Correct.
Which speech are you doing, Monica?
I don't know yet. I'm
Which-
waiting for it to come. My third
What's your
speech,
number? What number speech?
3.
3. So
Mhm.
3 is generally that first round in Pathways, those first 3 speeches. First one's icebreaker.
Mhm.
Second one, you can take the same speech, take the feedback and redo it.
I
the
never
third-
got my feedback back from people. I mean, just what they told me,
Right.
but I know I had emailed somebody like my papers. I never got them back. Like,
So maybe reach out. I don't know if they're still going to have that available. Typically I'll send that out. If I have it, I'll just
Mhm.
email it automatically. But like if I wanted it, I usually will ask them for it. Do you remember what the feedback that you got for those or no?
I have to watch the video.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, you got the video too. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, there you go.
Mhm.
See, that's why we do this thing, this Zoom recording thing.
Monica made a great point though. I'll be honest, I don't remember which number I'm on. Do you mind if we push my speech to the 17th as well, please?
Yeah.
If that's all right, thank you. I know I'm still in the mentor section. I just don't remember which exactly number I'm on, so.
Yeah, totally fine. So Monica, is the 17th still going to work for you? You think that will give you enough time?
Yeah, but are you sure, Joey, that it's not a new topic and it's on one of those?
No, the first 3 speeches, you could pretty much take the same speech and spin it each time with the feedback that you get from each one. So the
Yeah.
third one, if you remember that, now if you don't, then you might have to put it off.
Until the, okay. Next
Mike's out.
next Tuesday, bye Mike. Next Tuesday I won't be here. So for roles, but I'll be here on the 17th.
Okay.
Maybe do that. Yeah. And then Ray, did you get the icebreaker? I sent you the icebreaker PDF, didn't I, or no?
You sent me the information about Pathway. I missed the deadline to try to log in before it shut down.
Did I
before it went
send you though the icebreaker PDF? So that's the first speech.
I could definitely look at it again, or if I have it in my email. If not, I can request it again.
Shoot me an email. Yeah. Cause you can still do that speech. You don't have to get into Pathways for that. Icebreaker, is a general one, and I can send you the PDF that was left over from the old way that we used to do stuff. So you
Not
can
a
get your
problem.
speech in if you want next week, your icebreaker. It's up to you.
Yeah, I'll go give it a shot. No
Okay.
problem
So
with that.
email me, yeah, as soon as possible. Email me. If you don't have that, then I'll email that to you.
Sounds good.
Okay, awesome. Would anybody else like to schedule a speech in the next upcoming weeks? Going once, going twice.
I'm going to wait till June. I'm going to wait till baseball's done because I don't want to back out again.
Sure. Okay, sounds good. Then for those of us who will be here next week, can I have somebody volunteer for Toastmaster general evaluator and table topics master. Oh, and speech evaluators. That would also be important for
I mean-
myself. And then,
I'll do general evaluation.
okay, thank you, Heather.
I'll be a speech evaluator.
Okay, thank you, Joey.
What do you have left?
Toastmaster table topics.
Master, speech evaluator, table topics.
I'll take table topics.
Okay, thank you, Sarah. And Emerson, are you going to be here?
Yeah.
Do you want to be a speech evaluator?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that will work. And I would also like to say thank you to Beth, our guest, who's coming back for the second time. And you said you're interested in joining, right? You're wanting to join.
Cool.
New member, that's exciting.
And if we put her in touch with, we need to put her in touch with Sarah. So Sarah's been in touch. Cool. No.
I haven't been, but I'll send you the information, Beth. Yeah.
Okay.
You can see it.
Okay, awesome. All right, anything else that we need to address before we adjourn?
I think that's it.
Okay, I adjourn this meeting then. Have a good
Everybody
week,
have a good
everyone.
week.
Thank you, everyone. Bye.